Well, ladies and gentlemen, this level of incompetence and blundering is not something that you see every day. So I really want to watch this video. I want to give you the full context of what's going on. This is from the Asmongold Clips channel. His editor does a phenomenal job of compiling these different blunders and failures from Ubisoft, and there have been many of them. Each one more egregious and more completely retarded than the last. So this video from Asmongold Clips is called Ubisoft is actually retarded, and I actually agree. So without further ado, let's watch this because I think this is worth your time and consideration to understand what DEI can do to a company. What this I'm holier than thou, I'm more self-righteous than thou sort of attitude can do. Because this is shocking. This is absolutely shocking.
See, Ubisoft decided to release Assassin's Creed Shadows on the anniversary of one of Japan's most horrific terror events in their history? No. No, they did not.
A bit of context, because this is literally the fifth time Ubisoft messed up portraying Japan.
The katana and Yasuke's mask, or even the artwork from the game, doesn't it look exactly like the sword of Zoro, a character from One Piece? And then are those the exact same symbols?
As it turns out, Yasuke is holding One Piece Zoro's sword. Then they sent out promotional material to Japanese streamers.
Unfortunately, Ubisoft forgot that these people can actually read Japanese, and the streamers that received it were quick to point out how these strange symbols made no sense.
Then they straight up yoinked national treasures, which were labeled as not allowed for commercial use, and promptly added them as assets in the game. Then they copied a World War II historic remnant, which is one of a kind, as a promotional asset.
So we dropped a nuclear fucking bomb on them. This thing right here was still left standing. They're using a remnant of World War II.
This last one was so bad they literally had to put out a full apology. And now, finally, they delayed the game to the day of literally the biggest post-World War II tragedy for Japan.
I don't believe it. The sarin gas attack in Japan, perpetrated in the 20th of March, 1995. And when does Assassin's Creed come out now? The 20th of March, 2025. 30th anniversary. They just can't stop. It's so fucking funny that so many of these coincidences are happening, especially whenever it's like, this is like obviously like a virtue signal type company. It would be really funny if people started making videos and talking about the fact that they wanted to release it on this day is so they could celebrate a black person killing Japanese people because it's the anniversary of a terrorist attack in Japan. This would...
Can we just take a moment to appreciate Asmongold for a moment? That was like something I would say. And yes, absolutely. This company should be excoriated for their string of failures. And I mean, I don't believe in coincidences. I don't. How do you fail this hard back to back to back? I'm starting to think there may be some validity to the claim that there's somebody behind the scenes that's trying to hurt the company. I don't know if it's, an upper echelon executive trying to, maybe lower the stock price so that they can buy it up, and when the game company eventually sells, try to make a bunch of money. I don't know if it's a disgruntled company. Maybe one of his friends was laid off. I don't know. But this is absolutely wild. I mean, let's look at that. So you have this monument in Japan. They decided that they're going to put it into an action figure to sell the game. They put in historical artifacts that are not allowed to be, portrayed in media for profit. They basically just make up Japanese-looking letters. They take a sword from One Piece, and by the way, this doesn't even do justice to the whole situation, because this doesn't even really talk about what they did with Yasuke. This video, because it's short, it's only 2 minutes, I don't expect them to cram their whole thing in, but people have gone over, including myself, what they did with Yasuke, which is to completely rewrite and invalidate Japanese history to be more amenable, to be more appealing to these Western woke individuals. They literally tried to rewrite Japanese history for themselves. Oh no, Yasuke was a historical figure. All of these leftists, all of these leftoids in the West were arguing that Yasuke was this huge important figure. They were actually trying to argue Japanese history with the Japanese. This game has been such a cluster mess that it's hard to even believe this is real. These level of failures. How do you do this? How do you do this? This is not just one mistake. It's multiple mistakes across the board. And if you don't think that this will reflect in the game itself, you're crazy. All of this incompetence is going to be directly input into the game. How could it not? So, ladies and gentlemen, I really wanted to talk about this because it's so important to identify these things, because wokeness in its many forms that it takes is a corrosive, disastrous, ruinous ideology. Whether it be the people that have lost their lives or lost their livelihoods and their stuff in California through the DEI policies, which we're going to be doing a video on that. Believe me, we're going to be doing a video on that. I'm actually tempted to pull up the video from the Los Angeles fire chief. I'm tempted because that video was so egregious and so absolutely just mind-rottingly stupid. In fact, you know what?
Thai people.
You know what? Because it is relevant to this topic, I am going to bring it up. We are going to talk about it. It is tangentially related. And I'll explain. The mindset that has infected and ruined the Los Angeles Fire Department is the same sort of brain-rotted disease the far-left cult that has indoctrinated gaming. The same level of incompetence and negligence and just outright criminally stupid behavior it's invaded gaming. It's invaded a lot of different things, which is why we talk about it.
Listen, check this out. Your blood will boil.
You want to see somebody that responds to your house, your emergency, whether it's a medical call or a fire call, that looks like you. It gives that person a little bit more ease, knowing that somebody might understand their situation better. Is she strong enough to do this? Or you couldn't carry my husband out of a fire, which my response is, he got himself in the wrong place if I have to carry him out of a fire.
Unreal.
Literally, their
Unreal.
job is to help rescue people out of
This
fires.
is the ideology.
Only about
Just to repeat, this disgusting freak, this abomination of humanity, that for whatever reason is put in charge of, the LA Fire Department. I think he's an assistant chief, but he's somebody who is at the upper echelon of this particular company, this particular branch of firefighting. And this sort of mentality that, oh, well, you want somebody that looks like you, like this sort of racist, low IQ garbage ideology, this sort of evil, pernicious tribalism, This is something that should be purged from the planet. But we find it everywhere. And everywhere that we find it, there's disease, there's rot, there's infection, there's this disgusting putrid aura about it. There's something inherently wrong with people like this that spout this bullshit. And we see it everywhere. And so a game comes out, and it's the same sort of thing. Well, we're going to have a black samurai killing Japanese people in feudal Japan, even though it makes no goddamn sense. Oh, why? Well, because we want to highlight the more unusual stories in Japanese history. They're just making it up. And the thing is, they're not billing it and framing it as though it's just fiction. They're saying, well, we use historical elements, which is to give more validity to the game. And so I'm sitting here watching a game company erode and be absolutely obliterated from orbit because they've made a string of easily avoidable failures and mistakes. I use the word mistakes, but part of me believes it may be intentional. But part of me also goes, why? Why? Why would you intentionally sabotage your company? Or are you just really that stupid that you don't know the consequences of your own action? Do you not know what's going to happen by doing this? And I think there's an element of that. These people just don't know. And that's frustrating. Because here's the reality. Assassin's Creed Shadows is going to come out and it's going to bomb. People in Japan are not going to buy this game. It may do decently well in the West amongst casual people who say, oh, Assassin's Creed. But I have a feeling this game is not going to do as well as they need it to do. And at the end of the day, guess what happens after that? Layoffs. Lots and lots of layoffs. And these people are going to lose their job. And I know that these woke freaks are too stupid to understand this. They're genuinely too retarded. But what I'm talking about is for the good of everyone. I don't want some fat, lesbianic-looking freak, some racist, degenerate, low IQ freak who's in charge of fighting fires. I want somebody who's competent, who's obviously male, strong, masculine. I want them in that role because it's better for everyone. It's better for everyone because it creates an aura of safety based on the strength of the individuals involved, them knowing their job and them being able to do their job much better. Them being able to advocate for things that are important for the job. That video that I showed you doesn't even go into a fraction of the level of incompetence that DEI is brought to the fire department in LA. Or they're more interested in bias training. The same sort of bias training, the same sort of shit we see at these companies, like Ubisoft. This is an ideology that is across multiple different sectors, multiple different vectors, and it is costing people their livelihood, their reputation. I mean, you think about this. You think about somebody who's a fan of Assassin's Creed or a fan of Japanese culture, and maybe they're from Japan and they're watching what these freaks are doing to their culture. It's going to create resentment. Why would you not just create the most authentic experience for that particular type of people? It's wild to me that we're even having this conversation. Ubisoft fails over and over, and there's no desire to learn or grow or adapt or evolve or come up with any sort of solution. It's always the gamer's fault. It's always somebody else's fault. Well, guess what? We're not taking the blame for it anymore. We are not going to sit here and be berated by these freaks at these companies anymore. We're just not. You have failed to such a degree where you can't even make an Assassin's Creed game in Japan work. That is crazy to me. But it is what it is, and we accept reality. I don't even know what to say. If it were me, I'd just pull the game from, I'd say, we're done. We're canceling this. We can't seem to get anything right. We keep making these blunders. There's no interest in this game. Yasuke was a bad idea. Go back to the drawing board. And I'd have them use the assets from that game to build another game. And do it in, half the time. The aesthetics are already there. The engine's already there. I just have them go to work to change it. And they come out with a new Assassin's Creed game where it was a fighting-age Japanese male. It was a Japanese man, rugged, awesome, handsome, good with a sword. Badass. Try to make an iconic Japanese character that even they will like. Nobody in Japan is going to get behind Yasuke. No one. So, ladies and gentlemen, that'll do it for today's video. I appreciate you watching. I appreciate you supporting the channel, and I'll see you next time.